If you've ever wanted to see Bruce Willis blonde, Mila Jovovich topless, and Chris Tucker Tuckering, then join me and David Rogers as we watch The Fifth Element and find out, does this movie suck? Welcome to Does This Movie Really Suck? I'm Chris Keenan. I'm probably the shittiest person to recommend movies to. I don't watch or listen to anything anybody tells me to watch because I'm so opinionated.
And I am David Rogers. That, to be honest, that surprised me a little bit. You have a very eclectic taste.
Well, I think that's why a lot of movies I'm kind of shitty about, because a lot of them are usually mainstream or like really well-known movies, and most of my favorite movie, like my favorite movie of all time is Phantom of the Paradise.
And that's what grabbed me about the show, because you were like, I want to do something that recaptures my interest in things that are already actually popular,
right?
That I just don't enjoy. And then when you told me the first episode, I was like, well, I got to get down on this because that's one of my favorites.
Exactly. And the movie that we are going to be talking about today is Fifth Element, which is like super popular amongst all my sci-fi nerd friends.
Yes,
including you and including Ryan and a lot of our other friends. It's a movie I never got behind. I was a big Bruce Willis fan as a kid, but that was like Die Hard and shit like that.
Which is sort of what he plays in most of his roles.
I started to figure that out in this movie, that he's just playing Space John McClane.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. No, I just always thought that it was this overdone, took itself too seriously, and this is how you can tell I didn't watch the movie all the way through until today. I just thought because it's Luc Besson, and like that Leon the Professional movie does kind of take itself a little seriously in my opinion.
Now, is it Besson or Besson?
He's
Besson.
French.
Okay.
So it's got to be like Besson.
Besson.
The N is probably not even fucking relevant. It's
Besson. You're not allowed to say
Besson.
the N, yeah, and you have to give hands when you do it.
Luc Besson. Luc Besson wants a croissant.
And I think, to be honest, so I'm not a huge Luc Besson fan.
Is it that you're not a huge fan, or you just haven't been like exposed to his work?
So I haven't seen Leon the Professional, okay, which I've been yelled at for. So maybe we'll do that later on down the line.
Maybe
but you love it. Maybe we can switch.
I don't think that I love it. I don't think I've really seen it all the way through either. So maybe I could.
Okay, maybe we can do that.
I guess there's a moment where I just didn't really follow Gary Oldman very much, because I've never seen Sid and Nancy. I can't get through Dracula. I mean,
I love him.
Unfortunately, it has nothing to do with Gary Oldman why I can't get through Dracula.
That's true.
It's Keanu Reeves' bad British accent.
Oh, no. Oh, see.
Oh, I'm totally from England, man. Well,
now you're getting into hating on Keanu Reeves. That's for another episode.
Yeah, but the Lake House. Stay tuned, everyone.
The only other movie that I really enjoyed with Luc Besson, and let's just say that this is unpopular opinion, Penguin here, was From Paris with Love with John Travolta.
John Travolta. He directed that?
Yes.
Oh, I never saw it.
And I think that's the most recent movie I know him from.
Oh wow! Valerian.
Oh yeah, you mentioned Valerian.
Valerian, which is basically a ripoff of his own movie Fifth Element.
which I saw on a flight, so I remember very well. I swear.
Well, it's not like you were forced to watch it or anything.
No. I actually had choices, and I was like, "This is a comic book movie that nobody knows was a comic book movie."
Right.
So I gave it a shot, and it was shiny and held my attention for the 3-hour flight or 6-hour flight.
And funny enough, it was like a old comic strip or something. I think
it was a French comic again.
Yeah. So I think if I remember reading correctly, Luc Besson started writing Fifth Element when he was like 16 years old.
Really?
And
so he wrote this?
Yeah, he wrote it with let me see here, Robert Mark Kamen. Okay. But I think it's probably mostly he did the story, and then Robert went in and did the script, like made it a fucking film script. Yeah. The screenplay.
Is this just going to become you teach me about movies I love and you hate?
No. Well, we don't know. I'm not going to tell you if I hated or liked this movie yet. We're going to get that.
We're getting into it.
We'll get into that in a minute.
What repelled you from this movie originally?
Well, let's see. It's 1997, so at this point, I was watching films like Scream, and like I was really into like this horror thing. This might have been right around the time that I also saw, what is that movie with Lawrence Fishburne?
The Matrix.
No, Event Horizon.
Oh, great
so I
movie.
wanted my sci-fi to be gory and fucked.
Oh yeah, that was a real deep sci-fi time frame.
What's messed up about that movie though is you don't realize how much they had to cut out of that film, or like how much the studios interfered with that movie.
Oh, absolutely. I've seen behind the scenes stuff.
Okay, yeah.
and it was not the movie that they wanted.
So around that time, I was probably more into the bloody horror stuff, which I've kind of gotten away from. I don't watch horror movies at all anymore, except for like It and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know if I consider It to be a horror film. It's like a teen romance with a scary clown.
It's almost a nostalgia film at this point.
Yeah.
And it's a retelling of what is horror. And I mean, as a kid, that movie scared the crap out of me.
Right.
But
did it scare you, Georgie?
it did. There was a spot in my neighborhood where both sides of the street had drains. And I refused to walk in the middle of the street because I was like, both sides.
Oh yeah.
So
you're waiting to see balloons.
Yeah.
And shit? Oh fuck that.
That was a very heavy time for sci-fi. It really was. They wanted to be more serious. They wanted to be more gore and almost action oriented.
Right.
And this movie was not. So I can see that.
In comes this colorful, weird sci-fi movie that I can't get an idea of at the time what they were trying to do. I'm not sure that a lot of people know what they were trying to do with this film, and I think me and you cracked the code during the screening of this.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. So The Fifth Element is about a weapon, basically, right? Is that the idea? There's a weapon.
This, I'm glad we brought up it. It's very much.
Oh God, is it a turtle or a weird light thing? Is that what it is?
No.
Oh shit!
It's the other end of that spectrum where it was the embodiment of evil.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll notice throughout the movie, and I noticed. I'm glad we rewatched it because I looked at it with different eyes. I looked at it as a film and sort of in its pieces, not just as I love this movie as a kid.
Because you were able to, you've seen it enough to where you could analyze it this time.
And so this planet, so to speak, that pops into existence and that was foretold by the ancient race. The Schwarzarians or whatever they were called.
Oh no!
Be honest,
I wrote that down.
You got notes.
The Mandashawan.
Yeah, that one. The one they said the evil is going to come back, and you see throughout the movie, they were bleeding from their foreheads.
Was there many people doing that? Because I thought it was only Gary Oldman.
You see in the early parts. With I believe the priest.
Yeah,
bleeding.
You were paying way more fucking attention than I was at that scene.
But
the beginning did not have my attention.
They're not bleeding. It's this black goo because
it's chocolate syrup. It's Hershey's.
We made the comment that it looked like chocolate syrup, not blood. But I think that's the point. I don't think it's supposed to be blood. I think this thing is pure evil, and that's sort of the basis of the movie that the fifth element combats the evil that's penetrated our universe. So it's controlling Gary Oldman's character throughout the movie, and that's why when we see him on the phone,
Mr. Shadow is what they call the evil.
And so it's sort of like it, where you have that anomalous force, which is Pennywise the clown,
right?
Or in the Stephen King universe, many other things.
Right. No. You basically just said everything I said because I said it was a weapon, and you said that.
It's the embodiment of evil.
Well,
so
no,
to speak.
that's not what I'm talking about. Is the beginning. So what our main goal of the film is with the four rocks and the fifth element is to create a weapon to defeat the evil, essentially. So opening up in 1914 Egypt, like every other fucking sci-fi movie in the 90s, Stargate.
And most action movies, to be honest.
Right, because at that time we were just coming up with The Mummy, right? I think it was around that, like maybe 98 or 99.
Yeah.
So it's like there was some sort of 90s fascination with Egypt that like maybe we've forgotten about. I don't know what's going on.
Even some Indiana Jones feel to it a little bit.
Well, Indiana Jones isn't '90s, so I mean, we kind of fell off of the in the '80s. We forgot about Egypt for a little while after that, and then they're like, okay, let's go back to Egypt. So, and you get a fantastic cameo from Luke Perry, rest in peace.
Luke Perry, yes.
In a blink and you'll miss it fucking scene of the film. Really, he's basically the entire thing. He basically plays Jack from Titanic, but in the desert. And he draws the aliens like his little French girls.
So up until, again, I'm glad we viewed this, because up until then, when I saw his name in the credits, I was like, Chris, you gotta love this movie. It's Luke Perry. and the other Chris that we were watching this with was like, wait, Luke Perry's in this movie? What the fuck does he play?
Not only is he credited in with everybody else in the movie, he's in it for 5 minutes.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, this is peak 90210 Luke Perry at this point, because they had to put his name in the credits.
How did he get billed for that?
90210, dude. That's exactly what it was.
It's insane that only the 90s could have produced that much Luke Perry.
Exactly.
I think Family Guy was the second one to do that.
Right, Family Guy. Joss Whedon's original Buffy the Vampire Slayer fit him in a little bit there.
Yeah.
He had and I think that was like peak 90210, like, because they basically turned it into Pike and Buffy the Vampire Slayer at that point. But no, so you got Luke Perry and a bunch of other priests finding out that it's not just an Egyptian temple fucking pyramid. Like every other sci-fi movie of the 90s. It has to be some sort of ancient alien thing.
Yes, a la Stargate,
like,
which
screw
is really
area,
where it pulls at.
Screw Area 51. The aliens went to Egypt first, man.
and the best part about that is in modern days, if you went to those pyramids and turned around, there'd be a McDonald's behind you. Yeah, a friend of mine is from Egypt. He was born there, and he's like, yeah, it's just like here, but more sand.
It's like here, but Arizona.
Basically,
Arizona here.
Yeah, you have the pyramids, and you turn around, and there's the city streets. So
yeah,
so that's why they had to set it in 1914.
Right, exactly.
We don't get the McDonald's sponsorship.
That's because they didn't
300
turn the
years
camera.
later.
They didn't turn the camera. If you turn the camera, we're going to have to pay McDonald's more than the scene we put him in later.
Oh, no. The movie is sponsored by McDonald's at one point.
Yeah, basically. So we find out the ancient evil is on Earth and blah, 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 and things are happening.
It's going to be here in 300 years.
It's going to be here in 300 years. And what does this movie cut to? 300 years later.
Well, you got to. You can't cover that much time in a movie.
300 years later, where it turns into Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Absolutely, but looks better.
It looks better. Came out like at least half a decade before and was better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think Attack of the Clones was probably 2002.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's going to make us feel bad and old if we do get this right. I think it was about 2002-ish. And so, yeah, it's about 5 years before.
Yeah, and I was in 6th grade when they started. God, I don't even remember when I was in 6th grade. Oh, Jesus.
And you would think that the Industrial Light and Magic and the guy who brought you all the crazy good shit from the original Star Wars movies would have better graphics than something from 5 years prior.
Well, you saw the remakes. This is not about the remakes, though. Let's not get into that, because we could all go into that. we may both have to revisit those.
Oh, no, not at all. Please, no, God. Is this where we get introduced to... No, Corbin Dallas doesn't even show up until like later in the film, right?
No, he does. We see him wake up.
He does wake up and
wake up.
Oh
scene.
yeah, yes, some weird.
Because he's having a dream. That's his whole dream.
That's how heroes work in movies.
Absolutely,
David. They have to have a nightmare and wake up, and then that's how you know that they're the hero.
Yeah.
That they're going to go on some sort of grand mission and blah fucking blah.
And because it's the 90s, we have to have blonde highlights in our hair.
Blonde highlights.
What little hair we have.
I don't know what message they were trying to send about smoking with this movie.
Oh my God.
Because you had like a cigarette that was like opposite, like it was an opposite of a normal cigarette where most of it was filter and like an eighth of it was the cigarette.
Oh, if that.
Yeah.
And it comes out of a no smoking container and
Yes.
gives you
Well,
like
it says quit smoking, I think, on it.
Yeah, quit smoking and gives you like affirmations to quit smoking, and he's like, I'm trying.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, it's
I was more fascinated by the cigarette itself.
but before he pulls it out, the machine that dispenses it, the 4 cigarettes he's allocated, actually says, please try and stop smoking, and he goes, I'm trying.
And then we have that typical introduction to our gruff Bruce Willis character that was like basically Bruce Willis is Bruce Willis in Bruce Willis the movie. He's obviously hungover. He's like 10 points away from losing his fucking license to be a taxi driver. His boss is calling him and giving him shit. It's like the typical 90s hero. Like
Absolutely.
Yeah, they've got to be these nearly awful characters. They can't be perfect, but they can't be completely douchebags. They have to be on the line.
You can't be an immaculate stand-up citizen and save the world. You have to revelation. You have to revelation.
Right, that's very Ray Bradbury-ish, Fahrenheit 451, and where your hero is kind of a fucking Nazi. And then maybe he's not.
Maybe a little bit Nazi. Maybe a little bit not.
And then by the end of the movie, he's totally not Nazi, and it's fine. But no, that's not Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis just plays that typical, like, he could be my dad.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Yeah, he could. He's just another day in paradise. He doesn't say it, but he could have. That's how
he goes to paradise, though.
Oh yes,
he wins. He wins paradise.
Well, that's like the last 5 minutes of the movie. So this movie is like, if you've ever seen a movie where they just wanted to throw fucking context and story and all this shit at you, like, this is the movie to watch.
The pacing is great.
Do you think so?
I absolutely.
I thought it was paced like a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon.
But that's all right with me, because we get into all exactly what you're talking about. We get into that, and we build these characters, and we start actually caring about the characters. And the characters in this movie are just, in my mind at least, are the epitome, and they're very much cartoonish. They really are. They're over the top. They're blatant, in your face. This is the character we were going for, and it allows them to be those characters and have fun with those characters. And then they're like, oh wait, there's storyline. Let's wrap it up in about 10 minutes in the end, and everything's cool.
Oh yeah, and that's exactly what this movie is. It's like, hey, you guys have fun, but the last 10 minutes are mine.
Yeah,
like, that's the director. I didn't say it French enough. The last 10 minutes are mine. This has been your Racist Minute with Chris Keenan. So Corbin Dallas goes for a ride. He's gonna go do taxi stuff, I guess.
Yeah, he's gonna be a taxi driver,
and
in New York.
And we totally passed over the fact that they created a clone, or like some sort of genetic creature.
Yeah, well, all this is going on. We have jumped to modern times where the aliens are coming back,
right?
And they're gonna save the world, even though they're just giant turtles, really.
Right.
Like I loved the character design. I loved how blatant everything is.
It would seem blatantly 1960s Doctor Who. Like, it was very like 70s, 60s, 70s Doctor Who.
Oh, absolutely, but you don't get the feeling that these aliens are aggressive.
Especially not the robot turtles.
Yeah, they
seem real cool.
Those guys are, and Luke Perry's the one that's like, oh, I'm gonna shoot these crazy guys, and the priest that's murdering people is even like, oh, these guys are a friend.
Yeah, like,
maybe we shouldn't shoot at these guys.
Yeah, chill out.
So I love that you see these aliens coming back, and you're like, oh, they're here to help us. You know what they're there to do because of their character design. They don't have to say anything. They don't have to speak the language. You just know from the character design what these people are supposed to do.
They're gentle turtle monsters.
Yeah. And they come back, and then they get shot down by the ugly other Doctor Who
I did not
villain.
write down those characters.
No,
They mentioned them once, but I don't remember.
I want to say Grognak, but I think that's a barbarian
No,
cartoon.
they're very close to the Manda Shaw one. It starts with an M.
Yeah.
It's a weird long M name, and it's like
Muldoons,
that sounds-
Mordukes or
yeah, it's
something.
close.
Yeah. Yeah, so but they're very, again, they're very generic, they're ugly, they're aggressive looking, their teeth are all weird, like they run through the middle of their mouth. But also what I really like about this movie is the character design, but it's all practical effects. So there are a couple shots, which we'll talk about in a little while. There are a couple shots where they show the prosthetics and the costumes in a weird light.
Right.
But it's not something you notice right away. There's a couple scenes where it's very blatant, but there's a lot of stuff that I noticed that you didn't point out. And following where we are in the movie, when she gets created, we see the 3D printing,
which was really cool.
Yeah.
It's a very the CG in this movie holds up.
The visuals are phenomenal.
Yeah.
They maintain today's standards. They really do.
Well, I don't know if they necessarily maintain. They're not like they're not fucking fantastic. But
No.
I don't want seamless CG. It's like, practical effects to me. You don't want the practical effects to be seamless. You want them to feel weird.
Yeah.
And this movie really goes with that. But you were saying, I'm sorry.
Special effects should be special.
Right.
Exactly.
There you go.
Where I'm at with that.
Perfect.
The special effects should be special. I really feel like the entirety of everything being CG has ruined CG. But you see her getting built, and then there's that scene where he's, the military guy is looking in and he's getting real close to the glass. If you look at the glass before she punches through it,
I did notice that.
yeah, you can see
that it was already cut.
where it's cut out.
Correct.
And I was surprised you didn't say anything. I was like, oh, he's gonna say something.
I didn't want to just immediately start shitting on the movie. Like, I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting in a group of people that actually likes this film. I didn't want to be like, oh, that's stupid. Oh, I could see the mistake there, man. Oh, like, I didn't clap when I saw Mila Jovovich's boobies either, but you guys did. You fucking
I did. Mila Jovovich. That was the other reason I was like, you need to like this movie because there's a nude Mila Jovovich in it.
Mila Jovovich. Jovovich.
Oh, been a long time crush on that one.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
What else is she popular for? Is she in
Resident
those
Evil.
Resident Evil films? I never watched. I never got into those either.
Oh man, that's coming soon to change my mind. Is the entire Resident Evil series, because you could shit in a box for 2 hours and call it Resident Evil, and David's gonna love it.
Oh really?
Oh, absolutely.
Jesus Christ!
I am totally biased against anything anti-Resident Evil. So,
And does this movie suck? By the way.
That's
the trailer or the name of this show's gonna go through like 50 titles before we figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out where
that
we
might
are.
be the name of the show. Figure it out. Chris and Dave, figure it out.
We learn the name of our own podcast.
That might be the name of the podcast. Chris and Dave learn the name of their podcast. The podcast.
No, but man, oh yes, Mila Jovovich. She's been in some movies.
So they create her from just a hand, right? And
which again was one of those things that I never really noticed in the past watching it, because it was always just like, I'm so enamored with the scenery and the sets.
Is that what you call Mila Jovovich's boobies?
Absolutely.
Okay, just making sure.
The scenery sets.
See the sets of scenery.
Is that, you see her hand, and then later on you see the case that she was holding on to that's supposed to hold the stones, and you see the whole handle ripped off, and you go, oh wait, I've seen this before.
So she gets created, escapes, finds her way into Bruce Willis's lap, basically. Or in the back of his cab.
Yeah, essentially, with the incompetent police force.
Right. Incompetent, like, really doofy police force wearing Futurama helmets.
Skip McDonald's aggressive.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's where we
Advertisement.
have the McDonald's cameo, where they get their golden meals.
Their king, what is it? The King value or something?
Mac King?
Mac King?
Yeah, Mac King Cole.
Maybe they took over Burger King? Is that what happened?
Maybe. In other sci-fi movies, Taco Bell is the only restaurant. So who fucking knows? Who fucking cares? So yeah, you've got the doofy, fat, inept police chasing after this super hot redhead alien thing who falls into Bruce Willis's lap, and he decides to have a will I, won't I be the savior moment.
Now, you have... See, again, I give credit to that. Especially when it came out. People do... In action movies, people do stupid shit for absolutely no reason. At least he thinks about it.
No, he gets a good look at this girl, and throughout the entire movie, all Bruce Willis wants to do is
smash.
Fuck. That is the entire premise of Bruce Willis following this redhead and taking her on adventures, is because he wants to smash.
Can you blame him?
No, but... Listen, they could have changed his name to Harvey Weinstein, and I would have understood.
It was the 90s, it was a different time.
These were different times, Chris. Now, again, I don't understand any of the villain's motivations except for the evil Shadow Planet dude.
Yeah,
he wants to destroy Earth. Why do the fucking weird lizard people want the stones? I kind of understand why Gary Oldman wants them, because he wants them for the god.
He wants to get paid,
right? So what are the lizard people after?
The Mordukes, which I think is an X-Men term. The Mordukes.
Listen, we will run through every M alien name until we get this right. We will figure it out.
The Master Chiefs. They
the Gazorpazorps.
we know that they were, because they say it like blatantly. They just say you were spread to the four corners. They basically destroyed their race and were like, hey, you guys can't hang out together. We're gonna be racist against you because you're crazy teethed aliens. And so he's like, hey, these guys are warriors. It's a warrior race. So
right.
They're mercenaries. The entire race is mercenaries. They're like really bad Boba Fett's.
But they're not necessarily working with Gary Oldman.
Maybe they're Mandalorians. That's an M1.
Mandalorians. I thought they were Fleep Floops. Anyway, no. Are they working with Gary Oldman? I know he's trading them some shit.
He's trading them weapons in the beginning.
But I thought they kind of have a falling out in that scene when they don't bring the stones. They think they have the stones in the case that are part of they're the four elements that mix with the fifth element, which I remember seeing that movie as a kid, and I always thought that it was a surprise that Mila Jovovich was the fifth element.
No, it's not.
No, they don't make it a surprise. It's obvious and blatant, and they throw it in your face.
But she's not.
They throw it in your face the entire film. Wait, what? No, love is, right? Is that the idea?
That's the twist.
It's not the twist. I watched Captain Planet. I know heart is one of the elements.
You're spoiling the end of the podcast right now.
Well, I imagine if anybody's listening to this, they're wondering, why is this a quote-unquote bad movie podcast and the first movie that they're talking about is The Fifth Element?
But that's why we're doing this.
That's what I love about the idea of this show, is that it's not a bad movie podcast. It's a movie. I perceive films to be bad.
It's a Chris Hates This Movie podcast.
Chris Hates This Movie. That's the name of the podcast. Chris Hates This Movie.
Change my Chris Hates This Movie.
Does this Chris hate this movie? Stuck.
Featuring several Chris's.
Now the government wants this too, and that obviously their reasons are just because
the government doesn't want the Earth to be destroyed.
Right,
is essentially what it boils down to, and that's valid. I get that. If our president was like, "Hey, the Earth's gonna be destroyed, we should pull out all the stops," and be like, "You go do that."
And the only reason they choose Corbin Dallas is because they want to explain to you in a 2-second scene or 2-second bit of a scene that he was a military professional at one point, and that's why he's going to be able to shoot all those aliens really good at the end of the movie.
Yeah, basically, but in doing so, he murders 3 people.
He murders, wait, 3 people?
Yeah, he murders three people.
They don't die because they show up in the end of the movie.
They were clearly dead.
At least one of them, the guy with the goatee, shows up and he's talking to the president. They're just frozen.
He was an extra, and they just reused him.
Don't you know anything about movie logic? If you freeze something, Captain America, flies, The Fly, anything, if you freeze it...
Wait, flies?
Fly. You never did that experiment where you freeze a fly and then thaw it out?
Yeah, like bees.
Bees.
When you have a pet bee.
Yeah. Exactly.
I thought there was a movie called Flies that's just like flies attack like frogs.
If there isn't, there needs to be one.
Yes, we're
well, there
gonna
is
make it.
The Fly, but I don't know that there's Flies movie. But so no, if you've learned anything about films, that it's if you freeze something and thaw it out, they're fine.
Yeah,
nothing
that's
wrong
true.
whatsoever. If
That's
you learn
true.
anything about Walt Disney's head, you know soon they'll thaw it out, and our overlord will be back to. I think they did thaw him out, and that's why everything's being bought out now.
Oh, true.
Is because Walt's just behind.
He is Iron Man.
Yeah.
He can't be Spider-Man. He's not allowed.
No, he's not allowed. Sony won't let him be Spider-Man anymore.
You know, that's going to be reversed by the time we release this. So
It's probably going to be reversed, re-reversed, and then re-re-re-reversed by the time, because it's like, will they? Won't they? Will they? Won't they? Won't they? Will
we're
they?
already behind as well as ahead of the times.
That's the story of my life, David.
Ahead of the times with Chris.
That's now the name of the podcast. This podcast has already changed names 6 times, I think.
Brought to you by Poor Sony Deals.
All right, so the government decides we're going to get this ex-military guy to
Yeah.
go to this planet, and I don't even know what.
Maybe it's because he's already had a run-in with her, and they know that.
But they don't want him to go with her. They don't want him to go with her.
Well, the priest does not.
No, they don't want him to go with her. They want him to go with a military professional. If you remember, they want him to go with a military professional. The chubby one. That
yeah,
looks
yeah,
like
yeah.
the villain from Matilda.
That was not the villain.
Who is? What do you mean she's not the villain?
That's
I've
not
never
the
seen.
villain.
I've never seen the film.
Excuse me?
I've never seen Matilda.
Excuse me?
No, seriously, I've never seen Matilda.
Sir, this is about to be the podcast that we watch Matilda. The Matilda cast.
Jesus Christ. No, I just never watched it. But anyway, no, the priest is the one that brings Lilo into the picture.
Well, I mean, she brings herself into the picture, but the priest is the one who hits him in the head and wants the actual savior of the universe to go help her.
What is that character's name again?
His name is David. Thank you.
It is David.
Thank you.
You're right. It
Thank
is
you.
David.
Yes.
So, no, I think you're getting your wires crossed a little bit, though. So the government wants him to go to fight these bad guys with this cop lady. The priest wants David and Lilo to go to get the stones.
Directly to the temple. He's like, there's going to be no problem.
Is the temple there?
Fine.
Did I miss something?
That's the final scene where they're doing the wind and the fire.
Is that where
Earth, Wind, and
Paradise? What
Fire.
is this place called again?
No, that the Paradise is the cruise that he air quotes wins.
And where is the cruise going? To this planet?
No, the cruise has
So confused. I just watched this movie.
the cruise has the diva. The diva has the stones.
The diva. The cruise has the diva has the stones. This sounds like a Danny Kaye bit. The vessel with the pestle is the chalice with the palace.
The diva has the stones, so he's going on this cruise, which is Paradise.
And you said I was spoiling the movie, David. No, we're basically there because there is not much there except for one loud, one blatant, one very feminine.
beautiful.
He is beautiful.
Original podcaster.
Original podcaster.
Think about it.
No shit, that is a podcast essentially. Yeah.
He's talk radio 100%. He's on from 5 to 7, so it's 2 hours.
Right.
And he is live during that time. He's got the little headset.
Correct.
He is on the scene podcasting.
And if you think about it, because it is the future, it's all, maybe not necessarily the radio, it's all over the internet and things like that too. So yeah, very podcasty.
yeah, we don't know how he's
So
distributing
this movie not only created podcasts, it created the Roomba.
Oh yes,
Because the Gary Oldman scene, there's
with
a
his
Roomba.
chaos scene.
Right. There's a lot of...
Also, call back to Flintstones in that scene.
Yes, there's a weird little
Elephant
creature thing that doesn't say it, but basically says it's a living.
It's a living.
It's a living. So anyway, let's get to Chris freaking Tucker. The thing that I get the most when I say that I didn't like this film is, but Chris Tucker is so amazing in this movie, which I respond with, actually, he's really annoying, but that's the point.
Which is actually exactly what I told you when we
Right,
started this film, and you were like, nails on a chalkboard.
Nails
and I
on a
said,
chalkboard.
Supposed to be nails on a chalkboard.
Can I also... I need to take a minute to point out that this movie doesn't understand women or black people.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay, because every time because even the first time that they created the all-powerful Fifth Element, the first thing they go is, that can't be it. It's a girl.
And all black people are gay.
All black people are gay, and they have to have that 80s hip-hoppy music behind them as they're walking for some reason.
Well, don't you want that?
Yeah, but I'm not black, so apparently this movie says I'm
You're
not
not
allowed to
allowed.
have it. Like, I have to smoke tiny little, long-filtered, tiny little cigarettes. And backless wife beaters.
Oh, absolutely. Most clothes don't have the entirety of the clothing.
This film does not know how clothes work. Corbin Dallas wears a jacket in this film that has like pad rings at some point in the film.
I think all of the costume design was Akira Toriyama with like quarter jackets
Yeah.
and puff, lots of puff.
Mixed with
Shoulder pads.
Rob Liefeld, because he had like shit tons of pockets.
Did he have
and stuff.
pouches? Did
He
he
had
have
a
that
lot-
many pouches?
On that jacket alone, on the arm, there were so many pouches.
That's a lot of pouches to fill.
So you had one arm with the rings, and then the other arm was not rings. It was pouches.
Pouches. Ugh.
It was pouches.
So many pouches.
Yeah.
He didn't grimace though. He wasn't grimacing the whole movie.
No,
So.
he wasn't grimacing. He didn't double hand shoot pistols the entire film.
He didn't double hand shoot any pistols.
No, he shot a lot of alien rifle thingies or whatever. What was
I mean, he did pistol things,
Oh,
but
yeah.
only one pistol.
one hand. He John McClaned it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which, if I've learned this also, if you follow Bruce Willis's career, you can start to see where he stopped giving a shit. And this is like halfway through that.
Oh, absolutely.
If you see the earlier stuff, he was really a good character actor almost. And then he did Die Hard and decided, I'm going to play that guy in every movie.
When did he marry Demi Moore?
That had to be late 80s, early 90s.
Can we associate his decline with his marriage to Demi Moore? I mean, she is married to Ashton Kutcher now.
Well, I mean, that is the rise of Ashton Kutcher, because everything that he's done before marrying Demi Moore was dog shit, except for that 70s show. Don't look at me like that. Everything after that 70s show went downhill.
And Punked? Come on.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to give credit to the guy that brought back the trucker hat. Go to hell. I'm not giving him shit for that. He brought back the trucker cap, and I wanted to slap the taste out of his mouth. Nothing pisses me off more than fitted caps with unbent brims or trucker caps. I will slap the taste out of your mouth. You try to put one on my head.
How many tags does your hat have?
And 0 tags, 0 stickers.
100 tags.
I don't-
All the tags.
I don't keep the 50-50 sticker on my hats because I don't wear flat brim caps or anything like that.
I don't do flat brims either.
No, I can't.
I gotta bend that shit.
Yeah.
I gotta break the middle.
Listen, I heat mine up a little bit and then kind of just
Put it in the dishwasher. Danny Timberelli, break that shit. Yeah. Shout out to Danny Timberelli if he ever wants to be on the podcast.
So Bruce Willis clothes. We don't know how clothes work in this movie. We don't know how
Black people
black
or women.
people or women work in this movie. It looks cool, but that's probably where I draw the
Costume
line.
design.
I do have a question though. What's up with the alien opera singer who wears only the color of her skin?
I think she might be naked.
You think so?
I think so because
That's obviously a fucking dress.
but he does surgery
into her
so to
shot
speak.
stomach. Do blue aliens not have nipples?
I don't know what kind of alien is she. We don't know. There's a so okay.
Are we getting back to the
This is a fantastic point for this spot in the movie. There is so much gold that you could have mined from this movie. The deaf guy, what's his story?
Oh,
What are his movies? I want to see fake trailers for the deaf action dude because that dude is ripped as fuck.
yeah.
And he's always constantly
And he's
surrounded
by chicks, dude.
like Victorian women.
Yeah.
His whole shtick is like Victorian.
Yeah, he's got like a Mozart, Beethoven-y look to him.
We've got Ruby Rod. We've got the blue alien up front that we don't know who she is or why she is or where she's from. There is so many good like, oh, I want that dude's backstory. And it's just you get so many different characters in that 10-minute slot of time.
Once you get on the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you get on the ship, you meet so many really good characters, but know zero about them.
And again, we'll bring it back to Ruby Rod. How perfect. If you look at where we are currently, whenever this is, this podcast, because podcasts have no time, no timestamp on them.
Right.
This could be viewed 20 years from when we're recording this.
Right.
And he would still be the quintessential radio douchebag.
Right. I mean, what, this movie is 22 years old now?
And you could still fit him in entertainment today.
And I'm like, that's a squeaky Bubba the Love Sponge.
Absolutely. And so his whole persona, his whole character is just, it's so obnoxious. But that's why we love him. Because he is not everything that's going on around him.
But you really don't get to spend enough time with him to
Again,
care about him being there.
I want to hear his radio show.
Right.
I want to tune into that. Is that on FM or AM?
It's definitely an FM. Like
Nope.
fully syndicated or worldwide program, because I can guarantee you Corbin Dallas's mom doesn't live anywhere near him.
AM 580. This is an old school Rush Limbaugh style.
Oh God, I hope Ruby Rod's delivering the news. I hope Ruby Rod's delivering the conservative news.
He follows
That's the show I want.
He follows AM Rush Limbaugh from the early 90s.
This is Rush Limbaugh signing off. Hey, Corbin Dallas! What the fuck?
And I mean, I want a pack of gay black dudes following me, telling me everything's super green.
I just want a fleshlight haircut. That's what I want.
And again, we see Corbin Dallas. He gives that hairstyle the look, like because Ruby's all up in his face, and he's giving the 2-word responses.
Thrilled.
That whole bit, he's giving that. There's a scene where he looks up at his hair because he's sort of shaking it around all crazy in his face, and it's bouncing around. And as the audience, we're all doing what he does. And it's just so, it's
What's
so
that? We're
beautiful.
staring at his hair?
Yeah, we're staring at his hair, and we're going, the fuck does he have a blonde pomp for?
It's like not just a pump. It's like a cylinder that you could put things in.
Oh, absolutely. It is
like
totally
I could put my beer bottle.
Anime. It's very anime.
JoJo.
Yes,
Yeah,
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or Hunter x Hunter. I don't know if you've ever watched Hunter x Hunter.
I've never watched JoJo either.
There is a character in Hunter x Hunter who's very proud of his pomp.
Okay.
And it's a very Japanese pomp.
It's a very Ruby Rod's is very alienish.
Yes.
Like you can get the idea that this guy might be from another planet.
Oh, absolutely.
If we're gonna go back to what you're saying about these wanting these tiny little movies for these characters, that's the one thing I can say that I had a problem with this movie is even our main character barely has any exposition. The only exposition we get from this movie, for the most part, is that there's evil and there's good. And good is better than evil, and evil is bad. And we need to use good to destroy evil. That's what we know about the movie.
Oh, absolutely.
That is
agreed.
That is the most they give to us. And that Bruce Willis's mom hates the shit out of him for not taking her on this cruise.
And is super Jewish?
Yes. I would imagine Bruce Willis's mom being Jewish, though.
But he's not Jewish. Is he? I
He
mean,
comes off
Dallas
very-
is Dallas a Jewish name?
Corbin Dallas. But like I imagine Bruce Willis is very New Yorker-y.
Is that
like,
future Jew?
Future Jew. She's just a Protestant. She just sounds like one of the Jews from our time.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, if there's anything that I'd have to say that I did not like about this film is that there is no exposition other than good and evil is bad, good is good, and we need to use those two things to fight those things, and there might be these stones in this person that can help us use the good against the evil. That's it. And the rest of the movie is getting us from point A, which is nowhere, to point B, the good thing that blows up the bad guy.
Which is really where we start. If you notice, the temple that they end in,
right,
is the temple from the beginning of
correct.
the movie.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But there is nothing in the beginning of the movie. Then we get the good in the end of the movie. And
Yeah, most people forget that there's that exposition in the beginning of the movie that gives backstory to what's going on.
There's an entire Stargate scene.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
That's the other thing that I didn't like about this movie. That I can't say that I hated this movie, but I can say that I did not like the lack of exposition, and I also did not like way that they just dispatched the villains. There was no big climactic battles or anything like that you almost hope for in sci-fi.
The villains defeat themselves.
That's very true too, except for the big evil that gets blown up by Lilo and Corbin Dallas basically fucking on a table.
What? But which is all 100% true. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, you said it from the beginning that this is like you just said, a good versus evil. It's very cut and dry. It's very black and white. There is no gray area, and that is delivered. I mean, we get the bad guys are the bad guys, which I love. The scene shortly after when we actually get action in the movie,
right?
Outside of flying
That's
space
one of the
taxis.
Biggest and only action film parts in the film is Lilu beating the shit out of the Gazorpa Fleeps.
Yeah, and we get. I even said it a couple times. I'm like, you gotta give credit to the bad guy being a bad guy. He even says in the beginning, I know I'm a monster.
That's not how he says it. How does he say it?
I know I'm a monster. All right. You got the stones? Be pretty cool if you did.
He is just Space Matthew McConaughey.
Space Matthew McConaughey.
Which again, Space Matthew McConaughey. Can you imagine him doing Millennium Falcon ads?
Oh, that'd be great.
Instead of Chrysler, he's doing. Was it Chrysler?
Lincoln.
Lincoln. Yeah.
See yourself in this nice Millennium Falcon. I was thinking of a better ship to do the Kessel Run. This is the only one that'll do it in 12 parsecs, baby. Get yourself a Falcon. All right.
And then he was doing what? Wild turkey commercials, right? And then he could turn it into blue milk commercials.
Yeah.
Get yourself some blue milk straight from Mama's teat. All right, be pretty cool if you did.
If they didn't get Gary Oldman, I would hope they would have gotten Matthew McConaughey. I feel like they were trying to do a Bill Paxton with Gary Oldman almost.
No, you can't. So I have a love-hate relationship with Bill Paxton. I absolutely love him, and I hate the fact that I love him because most of what I know him from is the Twister ride, which is no longer at Universal, where he has...
They were throwing total piles of ice at us. Have you ever been in front of a Twister staring you right in the face? They won't even put me and what's her name in the same shot together because we don't like each other.
That was Helen Hunt, I
Helen
believe?
Hunt. Yeah, they won't even put me and Helen Hunt in the same scene because we don't like each other.
If you...
Which is a true fucking story, by the way.
You can't no longer view the majesty that is Bill Paxton in that video unless you have the internet, which nobody has.
100 and something thousand turbines and ice chunks thrown at you in every corner of the blood universe, blah, blah, blah.
I'm gonna have to. I'm bringing up the mic.
That's fine.
All right. So there is a Bill Paxton stance.
Oh God.
That you have to get into.
Nobody's gonna see this but me.
Nope. But I have to be in it because there's a.
Are you doing a Bill Paxton?
I'm terrible.
Are you Paxtoning?
I'm terrible at it. So imagine my voice sounds more like yours did because it was fucking fantastic. So there's a scene at the very beginning of that video where he walks out.
Oh yeah, in front of the wreckage, right? The
and
fake
he walks
wreckage.
out and he puts his hand on his hip and he stands slightly leg forward. I'm Bill Paxton. Every fucking time, I'm like, he forgot his name.
I think I'm Bill Paxton.
He totally phoned that entire scene in, and it's fucking beautiful. And every time me and my best friend went, again, which is why I only remember him from the Twister ride, every time we went, we died laughing in the middle of this dark room that's about twisters, and everybody turns and looks at us.
Right, it looks like you're inside of a murder shed, and you all are laughing your asses off.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Thank you, Helen Hunt. Which way is she? To my left or to my right? We're not in the same shot, people. I know you think we are.
Where are you gonna edit her in? Anyway, what were we talking about?
We're talking about The Fifth Element, David.
I know. I know the movie we're supposed to be talking about.
No, we were talking about Gary Oldman's character and making fun of Matthew McConaughey, and I said that Bill Paxton could totally have been that character.
Well, yeah, but the scene where they are looking for the stones in the Divas room, and he's shooting up into the vents.
That's it. Yeah.
And he's unloading clip after clip in this crazy future gun, and he waits. I mean, he follows her through the vents. He just doesn't shoot up into the vents and go, meh, probably got her, and walk off.
Right, typical villain type move where they just kind of shoot and walk away.
Yeah, he's not that villain.
He doesn't stop until he sees blood.
He sees the drip of blood, and he goes, I fucking actually got her. All right, we can go now.
That's still a dipshit villain move. You never stop until...
Did you see the body?
Yeah, did you see the body? Did you see it moving? Good, let's go.
Yeah. You have to give credit where credit is due. At least he did his homework a little bit more than most villains. So that's, coming back to where we're supposed to be. That's such a beautiful point in the movie. It's such a beautiful progression tactic where the bad guys are the bad guys, the good guys are the good guys. It's very black and white.
But don't you think movies should be more sophisticated than that?
They can be, but some movies just need to be an escape.
Okay.
Some movies we just need to watch Space Divas and Ruby Rod's hair. Some movies just need to be super green.
Ruby Rod totally banged that alien, right?
Probably.
Yeah. I think Ruby Rod had sex with almost everybody on that ship.
Ruby Rod didn't need to have sex with anybody. There's one sex scene which is beautiful.
It's great. Because he is orally pleasing this woman for almost the entirety of that scene. I think he's using my tactic. See, because I know I'm a 10-second chump, right? So what you do, right, is you work him up. You work him up. Get him that close with the tongue, and then bam, you're in there like swimwear.
In there?
In there like swimwear.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, and then you feel like you're a champ, even though,
you've done nothing.
You've done absolutely zero.
They did all the work. They always do.
Not necessarily, but I mean, you were just tongue.
Are you Dr. Ruth now? Is this the Dr. Ruth podcast? Is this what we're doing?
I imagine Dr. Ruth was a 10-pump chump too.
No.
No, you think she could get it? Like she would just go for it?
Absolutely.
Oh, dude. Where's that video?
Where was she?
I want to see. I want to see 70-something-year-old Dr. Ruth getting it hard.
She was 70. How long ago?
Okay,
back when I was seeing it late night.
That's what I'm saying.
After Howard Stern.
Why are we always so enamored with young girls and their sex tapes? I want to see a
Betty
Granny
White.
bang.
I want to see Betty White.
I want to see 90-something-year-old Betty White getting it.
Have you seen young Betty White?
Betty White was hot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to tell the truth, like she was on that show a lot. She was real hot on that. Why are you laughing? That's not funny. That's
because we have tangented.
This isn't a fucking game, David. Jesus fucking Christ. This isn't a game. I'm taking this seriously, and you think it's a joke. How fucking dare you, you son of a bitch.
Sorry. This is Dr. Ruth featuring Chris.
Dr. Chris Ruth. That's the name of the podcast now.
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
Dr. Ruth's Chris. So anyway, as we're getting to the blue alien diva singer who sings this really cool. What's the name of that weird fucking guy on the internet now? The guy.
What is that shit? I do not know, but it's I think
everybody knows what I'm
German
talking about.
Or Scandinavian.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I thought this was.
If you edit this, insert that here.
Okay. Hey, past David and Chris. This is future Chris coming to tell you that it was Vitas was the name of the singer that we were talking about. Back to the show.
I gave you the clap.
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
I'm not paying attention. Anyway, so she does her weird singing, accidentally gets shot? Or does she purposefully get shot?
No, she accidentally gets shot. She knew she was going to die.
Well, she had to die. That was her purpose.
Yeah, that's her purpose.
That's why she shoved those rocks up her bum.
Clearly had to.
That's exactly what happened. She shoved the stones that everybody's looking for in her bum. All 4 long, crazy looking stones right up her bum bum. And now she tells Bruce. This is the other thing. Everybody's giving Bruce Willis blatant ideas of what's going on, and Bruce Willis thinks there's a deeper fucking meaning to all of it.
Oh, absolutely.
And we'll start with the stones are inside me. And for a while he's like, huh? What? I don't understand. And then later on he's like, that was Keanu. I don't know why I did Keanu. I don't understand, man. Fuck this shit. And then he's like, the stones are inside me. Oh yeah. And then starts ripping her open, her
Digging
dead body
around inside.
inside her dead body. And where were the stones? Inside of her. So he
Yeah,
gets
again, everything's black and white.
right. This film is very like black and white. It's like Luc Besson didn't know Besson. He did not understand like common film logic, and I don't know that it ruins this movie in this case because it very much does play out like a manga, like a anime.
Yeah.
And that's what I got a lot of this from. And you even said it was a lot like an Edgar Wright film.
Yeah, so I, in watching it again, realized that there's a lot of jump cuts and a lot of finishing each other's sandwiches, where they'll be in a completely different spot in the movie doing something completely different, and they'll cut back. And I really realized it in that scene where he's talking about, I believe it's Commissioner Gordon talking about the stones, and he gets the case and they're not in there, and it cuts back to Lilu, and
laughing
she's
her ass
laughing.
off. Yeah.
And then it like it cuts totally, it just cuts to her laughing, and then it cuts back to him, and there's no context, there's no pretext, it's just...
Or what's that bit where somebody says 10 and then the countdown or whatever?
Yeah.
The clock, it goes to the
clock
clock of the
goes
bomb.
to 10 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. There was a lot of that, and I look at it because Edgar Wright is one of my favorite directors, and I look at that and I go, there's a lot of these jump cuts that tell us that tell a story through these jump cuts, where a lot of directors will use the jump cuts for that scene, but it doesn't really tell a story. It doesn't add anything to the greater vision of what it is. And I really looked at it through a new lens when I was like, oh, Edgar Wright. Oh, right. There it is too. Oh, and that scene where we're talking about, where they're all gunfighting and everything, and everybody around Bruce Willis is totally inept. And
that should have been the title of this film. Everyone but Bruce is inept.
Yes,
the movie.
Absolutely. Because he's talking to the deaf guy, and he's trying to convey, give me the gun. And I mean, in a scenario where he's in, you're not going to think to sign language gun, or even give like, oh, I'm going to shoot.
I was told this guy was deaf.
But he wasn't paying attention then. I mean,
that's true.
He's sort of wandering
Ruby
through.
Rod talking.
Yeah, he's screaming and he's totally ignoring him.
There's a scientific study that says higher frequencies are easier for men to ignore, which is why a lot of men do not hear what women say. Also, higher frequencies are easier for men to ignore.
Also, if women speak in a higher tone, they are interested in you, which is why all women sound like Batman when they talk to me.
David, where are the other jokes going?
So yeah, there's a lot of visual storytelling in this movie that I really enjoyed, and I guess we'll get to it. We'll get to my, right before we pivot. I'll get to my explanation of this movie.
So the stones are in me. They certainly are. Corbin Dallas gets the stones. They're now jumping on, or they're battling through to get onto like a ship, right?
Which is the bad guy's ship.
Well, we didn't even explain that. So the bad guy thinks he's got the case with the stones, gets on his ship, flies away all happy and giddy, opens the box, realizes he doesn't have the stones. He flies back, lands the ship, runs past, almost past our heroes. They run to get on his ship. He runs to the room that they were in with the bomb that he planted, almost goes off, and he turns it off.
Yep, they use the. I mean, he stops at 5 seconds, but it's the same trope that most action movies use, where
Right.
you stop it at 1 second so the microwave timer doesn't go off.
And then the Argonian bloop blops. I'm telling you, we say enough alien names, we're going to get it. They activate another bomb.
Yeah,
which
so-
was also at 5 seconds for
Which
some reason.
is a bigger, scarier bomb than his.
It looks a lot like a pyramid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
it's a great use of that gag, and that I think was the turning point for you, where you went, "This isn't an action sci-fi movie.
Yep,
this is a comedy.
This is a comedy. This is a dead ass comedy. I mean, it does have sci-fi and action, but if you go into this movie trying to take it seriously, like I did for all those years, you're not going to have a good time.
No.
When you sit and realize that it is a live action Looney Tunes cartoon, like Gary Oldman could have held up a sign that said "Help" or something like Wile E. Coyote.
Oh my god.
It's exactly what happens, and he blows up by his basically by his own flaws, by his own
absolutely.
reasoning.
Yeah, the good guy doesn't have to take care of the bad guy, because the bad guy is so inept, and because he's bad, he takes care of himself, basically.
And now our heroes they fly away. Lilu's all damaged from Gary Oldman shooting her.
Yep, she
earlier.
gets shot. So
And
there's
Bruce Willis is excited because now he's got more holes to stick things inside of because he's a fucking creep.
and he's trying to stick his tongue
Listen,
all
like
up in
the
the bullet
second
holes.
time he sees this girl, she's passed out and he kisses her. He's like, "I've seen a lot of Disney movies. I know how to wake this girl up."
And what does she do?
She beats the shit
Puts
out
a
of
gun
homeboy. Yeah.
directly
Oh,
in
that's
his
right.
face.
Yeah, she puts a gun in his
and
face.
tells him in divine speak, "Go fuck yourself."
Well, she says, "Not unless I ask," or not. What does she say?
Not unless I allow you to.
Not
or
without permission.
Not without permission. That's what it is. And when they say that, I was like, oh, because I knew you had not seen the entirety of the movie, so I knew that foreshadowing was going to be sort of lost on you. She goes, "Not without permission."
Does she technically give him permission by the end of the movie?
At the end of the movie, she gives him permission.
Oh, okay.
To finally, hey, let's kiss because I actually do love you.
Let's bang because the only way we're going to get Captain Planet to show up.
It's through a Brazilian child with a monkey.
God damn it!
He had a monkey.
Yeah, he did. They never explained why, but he did. So yeah, they get to the is it Earth? It's Earth, right? Egypt,
Earth.
right? So
It's
yeah, they
Earth.
get to Egypt. They get to the pyramid. They get the stones. They figure out where to put them, but nothing's happening. And then Lilu says, "Wind make or what's she say?
Wind blows.
Wind blows. Rain falls.
Fire burns.
Fire burns.
And
Earth earths."
we don't know what Earth does, so
Because
let's cut the
right,
script there.
The Earth, they would have come up with something dumb. Earth's dirt.
Dirts.
Dirty dirty deeds done dirt cheap.
Have you seen Joe Dirt? Do that.
Do that. Just Bruce Willis grows a mullet, takes his charger, does a donut around the pillar, then it glows, and then evil is destroyed because hooty hoo, get her done.
Better ending of the movie.
Yeah, that's my ending. I could have made this film much better right there.
How Chris ended it.
That's the name of the podcast.
Starring Chris.
So again, obvious. Lilu's not being. She's not giving code. This isn't code.
No.
Wind blows. So with wind blowing it, then who saves the day? David saves
That's
the day.
right.
Timid little David, who didn't know he'd be such a hero, saves the day.
The completely inept sidekick.
I don't know that he's inept. I just think he was very timid.
Yeah, I mean, he's scared of everything.
I think he would have gotten through with that whole Corbin Dallas thing, pretending to be Corbin Dallas if Corbin Dallas didn't actually show up.
Oh, he did. And then what was his description of what happened? In actuality, he pushes him back and says, "I sent him to get my my boarding pass." And what he tells the priest is, I thought he was going to kill me. So again, I feel like he was let's say timid, but to the extreme.
A bit, yeah. He was definitely frightened. So wind blows, water, fire, blah blah blah. Why isn't the girl making it work? No one knows. Oh, that's right. We forgot.
You
Captain
need a man.
Planet. Yeah, you need a man in this situation.
Which, never thought about that until just the second.
I told you that's this entire film. Women suck because they're women and they can't do much except for be women. And black dudes have to have gay entourages and hip hop music played behind them at all times.
Gay black entourage.
David's Gay Black Entourage, the podcast.
Starring Chris.
Starring Chris, what?
So we get to the end of the movie and they give the whole like, oh, they're doing the sex.
They're
can't
doing
can't
the
bother
sex.
them. Blah blah blah.
Like the only thing that we didn't get was the window and a hot steamy handprint. Like
Yeah.
that's all they were missing for that.
Yeah, we had weird scientist guy with a shaved head, weirdly shaved head face.
Poor
face
scientist, because that you could tell that guy really had his head shaved like that.
Oh, I know.
Like how long? How many days did his scenes take?
Practical effects, bro. Practical. But that paycheck though.
Yeah,
He had speaking lines.
I guess, but you have to like when you're. If you live in Hollywood, maybe because you'd be like, it's for a
yeah.
movie.
He had
starring
speaking
Bruce,
lines.
starring Bruce Willis.
Right?
They let me talk in it. I get to talk and push buttons.
How many zeros is on the paycheck? 3? All right, you're good.
2.5.
So I mean, we get to the end of the movie. We know what happens. Now I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that there was a turning point for you at some point in this movie, and I'm gonna throw it all in the line and say you actually sort of enjoyed this.
You think I liked it?
Following through with the entirety of the movie.
I liked it. I didn't hate it. I felt like it was like a cookie cutter hero story. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
And like you said, very black and white. The visuals were really good for 22 years old visual effects. I thought they were fantastic.
Yeah, they hold up.
They hold up. I thought the only two good actors in this particular film were actually Mila Jovovich and Bruce Willis. But that's because Bruce Willis was just not acting. He was being Bruce Willis.
You don't give credence to Gary Oldman?
Gary Oldman was fine. I don't know what he was doing there. I don't know what was going on with his character. I've always said I didn't understand. One of the things I never understood about that film was the chocolate syrup forehead, screamy alien bad guy scene. I never understood how, why, or what that was. And I just watching this movie all the way through, I still don't understand how, why, or what that was.
I didn't either until this viewing.
And you really think it's just because
and
it's evil?
It's the concept that this is pure evil, and it's literally melting your brain. I mean, it's infecting you.
Are you saying our brains are delicious Nesquik chocolate syrup?
Mine is.
Okay.
But-
Shout out to Nesquik. Fuck Hershey's. Anybody who's drinking Hershey's chocolate syrup, you can fuck off. And nobody's a sponsor of this program. This is the first episode. Nesquik, far superior. Also, strawberry, not chocolate. All you chocolate milk lovers out there can go fuck yourself. Strawberry is the superior milk.
Nesquik has won a sponsorship to this program. If Nesquik, if you're listening and you want to sponsor this program, feel free. We are totally in line and in lockstep with Nesquik currently.
Nesquik, because fuck Hershey's. See, I can do it. If you want this.
So
That's a great campaign, right?
oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because fuck Hershey's.
That's my presidential campaign. Fuck Hershey's 2020. So what I was gonna say earlier, and what I've heard thrown out a lot about this movie, is instant classic. It really feels like it's always been in our lexicon. Watching it as a kid, again, and maybe that's because it pulls from so many different sci-fi tropes. And since I was a sci-fi kid, it really feels like it was always just sort of there.
It's basically Stargate, Blade Runner, like a lot of those movies melded into one.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does it well. It really does it well.
Well, it does the fun sci-fi blockbuster type movie well.
Yeah, it's not deep.
If you're going in for a fun just rock and roll type movie, this is perfect. If you're not there to think or be like go in for an intellectual film, this is not that movie. You're watching the right movie if you don't want anything that's going to throw a giant message at you besides love will save the world, which they don't even throw that in your face.
Good wins, evil loses.
Right. It's stuff that we were playing on the playground.
Yep.
Essentially as kids.
Yep.
I don't hate it as much as I thought I did, but I definitely wouldn't go out of my way to watch it.
Okay. But in recent viewing, I mean, you gave it a little pivot.
But the real question is, would I change my mind about this film? And yes, I definitely changed my mind about it.
And I'm satisfied with that.
You're happy about that?
I'm absolutely happy about that because this was a huge nostalgia trip for me. Me and my wife watched this movie 2-3 weeks ago. And watching it again was just like sitting in the theater. I had that callback to sitting in the theater watching this movie as a kid with my best friend and going, oh man, I love the scene where Gary Oldman shoots the dummy and then shoots at the people and all the bullets fly backwards and shoot the dummy. That was awesome. As a kid you get all those stupid 13-year-old or 10-year-old tropes.
Yeah.
That you want to see, but then when you rewatch it as a 32-year-old man, you go, oh wait, I actually sort of enjoyed this movie for more reasons than just the cool visuals.
Especially growing up watching films the way we watch films, you can start picking apart the little cinematography and go, oh look, there's that thing that looks awful because they didn't shoot it this way. Or
yeah, you pointed out the prosthetic,
the blue alien.
Yeah,
you could definitely see that
in that opera scene, which is honestly one of my favorite scenes in movies.
And once it kicks in, at first I was like, he said this is his favorite scene. It's super boring, and then she like changes the tone of the opera, and that was cool. It turned into like this kind of synthy, almost
it gives
techno-ish.
it a future vibe.
Yeah.
They hit all the future vibe strides with it, where everything is more technologically advanced, but not necessarily the best of the best equipment. We see that scene, and I pointed it out when we were watching it, that they made CRT monitors touchscreen, where she is looking up the entirety of the internet. And she touches the screen to show on a space map where a planet is that this thing is located, and it's on a CRT monitor. But the dude's a priest.
Right.
Like, priests don't make a whole lot of money to begin with, so that's probably what he would have.
Oh, definitely.
He's got the best of the best technology for the time, but it's not, he's got his iPhone 7, not his iPhone,
11X or whatever.
Yeah,
11G.
exactly. He has an older version iPhone, not your most recent, but it still does what it's supposed to do.
That's the 15 gig model,
and is way better than what we have now.
Right.
So
I wish my CRT was touchscreen.
You mean it's not?
Dink, 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 dink. Why isn't it working?
So yeah, I mean, I'm glad you came around on it.
Well, I appreciate you going on that journey with me.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking me on that journey. I was a fan of the ride.
I'm kind of upset that I couldn't be like, that movie fucking sucked. You fucking idiot. Why would you let me watch a piece of shit? Like, god damn it.
I'll have to pick worse movies in the next one.
I picked this movie.
I know.
That's the point, is I'm kind of picking these based on movies that I look at and go, ugh, ew.
Yeah. I've thrown out a couple of things.
Ugh. Okay, we'll watch that.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
All right, well, hopefully you guys enjoy this journey too. My name's Chris Keenan, and
I am David Rogers.
Join me next week to see if the next movie sucks.
It might.